I'm Christopher. I've watched thousands of people come through this chair, and not one person ever introduced himself, and we're going to have a conversation. So.
Sometimes people say, because they've been there before, do you remember me? And we say, we don't waste our time with trying to remember you. We take you on wholly as you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's up, Christopher?
My first exposure to you came from watching the movie or documentary, The Secret. And I watched that a whole bunch of times, and I came to this realization, or the thought occurred to me, that I'm made out of atoms, right? It's molecules, atoms, and then I realized so is everybody else. And then the thought occurred to me, like, what makes me different from everybody else? And then I realized it's just the arrangement of energy. And then, so.
That's really good. And for the most part, the difference that's most notable is the relationship of any human between their source energy and who they're letting themselves be. That's the primary difference. But you do come with different intentions, yeah?
I also follow Neil Donald Walsh and his Conversations with God books. And so they wrote another one this year. And it talks about something that you talked about in some of the other seminars about where are these thoughts coming from? Is it my body, my mind, or my soul?
For a while we were talking about these vibrational discs that you were on, like the depression disc or the hopeful disc or the playful disc or the joyful disc. And so what receiving mode am I in? It sort of depends upon what your mood is, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, most of my life I've noticed I've been kind of in the depressed on that disc, right? And then I would feel better when I get angry, but people don't want me to be angry.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, and they go, you shouldn't think that way, you shouldn't feel that way. And, you know, so I just...
Well, most people aren't aware that you are making your way up the emotional scale and that anger does feel better. And most people liked you better when you were depressed because you were less of a problem to them.
I get it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I like it better when other people are depressed too. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but, you know, it's just easier to deal with.
That's why it's so important to discover your self-empowerment, to establish your relationship with your own inner being, rather than trying to please others who have a lot of different reasons that they want things from you that may or may not be to your greatest advantage.
I don't feel so empowered lately, though. Because in the latest Conversations with God book, the thing that stuck out to me was how I look at myself, because I've always saw myself as a body, you know, and then kind of wondering if I had an inner being or a soul, you know. But in that book, the way it put it was, I realized that I'm a spiritual being, I'm a soul with a body.
So now let's talk about that, because you've set us up for something really important. Feel the difference between how I look at myself, which is me in my personality, in my depression or in my whatever state I'm in, looking at me, and being in the receiving mode of seeing myself as Source sees me. Quite a different look, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It seems to me that it would be easier for me to feel connected, or easier to receive. I've been meditating every day.
It would be easier for you. Finish the sentence.
I'm struggling meditating lately. It's like, I'm wondering if you could help me lose my mind.
Well, you've done the most important thing, which is you have decided that that's a good idea. And while lobotomy is one, meditation really is the best way. But you've already sort of set yourself up for some limitations by acknowledging that it is difficult for you. So what is your experience? When you sit to meditate, what's your experience?
Well, at first, I tried meditating like years ago. And
well, anything more recent?
Well, no, yes.
Because
My
years
experience
ago,
now is...
you see, don't drag the failure of years ago into the
No,
present.
it was
Let's
more
talk about
successful years ago.
So how so?
So like, I understand, like after the 12 or 13 minutes, I would feel relaxed. I've never felt the like disassociation that you've spoken about, but I do get very relaxed. And
Were you depressed 12 or 13 years ago?
yeah.
So what do you think is the difference? If you were successful in your meditation then, more than now, can you identify anything that was different then than now?
Well, then I was just doing it. It's like now I think I'm doing it with intention. And
well, did you hear us talking today about maybe finding some different intention? Not meditating for some purpose, like receiving something, like a book or something, but meditating with the intent of feeling the satisfaction of no resistance.
I think sometimes when I'm meditating, I just feel like it's not coming.
But you're thinking then. You're taking score of it. Am I meditating? Am I meditating? Am I meditating? Am I meditating? Nope. Am I meditating? Am I meditating? Am I meditating? Nope. How about now? How about now? How about now? How about now? Nope.
I know.
Well,
I'm like, how do I not do that? And I was wondering if there's other things.
here's the thing, and everybody relates to this. Here's what's going on. Your conscious mind has been trained, even by the memory within the cells of your body. Your thinking mechanism wants to think. It just does. You want to evaluate. You are born to do that step one thing where you compare and you observe and you evaluate and you decide. So you've got this deciding mechanism that you're born with that is meant to decide, that wants to decide, that now all of a sudden you've decided that you're going to quiet it down. Well, it's not coming that easily because there's momentum in all these thoughts that you've been thinking. Your brain, it's not a storage cabinet where there are all these memories and things. It's a transmitting and receiving mechanism. And so the fact that you've been thinking a lot of thoughts about a lot of things means you've got some momentum going. And so those active thoughts are being received by your active brain, and that's why it's hard to quiet that brain down. It is. We acknowledge it's not the easiest thing to quiet your brain down. And you can't just stop thinking about a subject, which means you certainly cannot stop thinking about all subjects because there's momentum, it's happening, and to just all of a sudden decide that you're going to shut it down, you can't. If we said to you, stop thinking about that, you'd be thinking about that thing that we asked you to stop thinking about. I'm not going to think about that anymore. Well, you were thinking about that thing you're not going to think about, but it's like, I'm going to stop smoking. Well, all you want to do is smoke more because you're thinking about not smoking. So what happens is, since that's the way law of attraction works, it's necessary for you to find something else to think about, something that has a different vibrational frequency, something that doesn't have as much momentum. So what we recommend, it's really an easy thing, is to find some sound to give your attention to. Now, in the beginning, Esther was encouraged to focus on her breathing, which she did, and that worked for her. She just counted her breathing. Esther said to someone the other day who was arguing for her limitations about meditating also, Esther said, sometimes I have to relax and start over 20 or 30 times in the first 5 or 10 minutes of meditation because there's so much going on. There's something happened that's really got my attention, and there are a lot of people thinking about it, and because I've been thinking about it, then there are a lot of people thinking about it, and so it's just the way it is. But because I care about quieting my mind, I keep reaching for quiet, I keep reaching for quiet, I keep reaching for quiet, and eventually I find quiet, Esther says, and eventually anybody can. So what Esther has discovered is that if she will listen for a sound in the room, she lives mostly in hot country, so there's usually an air conditioner going, and that's a pretty good thing to focus upon because it's running consistently. Can you hear it in this room? Mm-hmm. Now, did you notice that you weren't aware of it because we were making so much noise that you couldn't be aware of it, and it wasn't until we stopped talking that you could even be aware of it? But now you can be aware of it. And the thing about a sound in a room like that is that there's not that much interest. Oh, that's not as good a sound as I've listened to before. You don't think thoughts like that. Oh, that sound has a bad attitude. That sound betrayed me. That sound owes me money. You just don't have all that connection to that sound. So that boring sound that you've decided to focus upon will quiet your mind. Because you didn't say you're not going to think about something. You said you're going to think about something. So you turned your attention to something. Now sometimes Esther will think about it, and then her mind will wander on to other things, and then she'll think about it. Sometimes it takes a little while to get focused upon it. But when you do, when you get enough quiet momentum going on this boring subject, your mind will quiet down. And when it does, you will feel it. It will be a visceral feeling. It will be a physical feeling. Some of you began feeling it just in the few seconds we asked you to focus on that sound. So we encourage you to try that. We encourage you to stop arguing for your limitations, because this will work. We know for sure it will work. You just have to find something. Now, if there's not a sound in the room, turn your faucet on and let it drip and listen for it. Esther found a little ticking clock that's really a sort of obnoxious thing, and she puts it just the right distance from her in the room, and she can focus on that. Just something that gets your attention, because your mind is trained to focus on something. It wants to focus on something, but you're the decider. You can decide what it focuses on. And once you do that, you only have to do that a time or two, where you actually quiet your mind and actually feel. Now, in your meditation before, do you remember feeling that feeling of detachment?
I remember feeling very relaxed, but not detached.
Then you were not really ever detached. Sometimes you go to sleep. That doesn't count either. But once you feel that sort of detachment, what it feels like is you can't tell your nose from your toe. You know you're sitting in a chair, you just can't really feel that you're sitting in the chair. You feel detached. Your physical senses are detached. You're not seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching. You're doing something else now. And once you do that, you might not accomplish it the first day, but you will for sure the second day. And the third day will even be more, and the fourth day will even be more. But you know what hinders you? You're such an active person. You're a good communicator. You are accustomed to making things happen through your words. You are a good influencer. You're smart about things, and you know how to convey the things that you know. And so that's what you want to do. And you've been training yourself to be that way, and now we're asking you, don't be that way. Just sit and focus on the sound in a room. Really? Really, Abraham? This is my path to enlightenment? Yes. The air conditioner is my path to enlightenment? Are you sure? Are you sure that this is the path? Yes, because you've got to quiet your mind in order to hear your other mind. And when you do, once it starts flowing, you'll get so you can hear it under any conditions. Esther walks on a regular basis with a friend, and they always meditate before they meet. And then when they meet, they take a walk and they have a good time. About 40 minutes they spend together. And on this particular day, they were walking through the courtyard at Esther's place, and she has a little stream that runs through it. It's a man-made stream, but it's got lots of really good sounds. The man that built it placed every rock with the express intent of a good sound coming from it, and so it sounds like a natural mountain stream. So as they were walking out the gate, her friend said, "Why don't we sit and meditate with the stream?" And Esther said, "That sounds good." So they sat down and focused on the stream. And Esther got that wonderful feeling right away, because she had already meditated just a few minutes before, so she was right there ready for it, and so did her friend. And almost as soon as she got to that really good place, a jet flew over. And then another jet, and then another jet. It was like all the jets decided to come and say good morning to them. And at first Esther felt annoyed, because she likes the tranquility of her garden, and she wanted to hear the stream. She put it there on purpose, and they were meditating deliberately. But then Esther noticed that she could still hear the stream if she listened, if she focused enough, even though the jets were coming with varying degrees of volume. And Esther was delighted to recognize that she could accomplish the same thing even in that situation. And as they walked, they were discussing what had just happened, and Esther said, "You know, this was just the best thing, because this is the way it is when we're out in the world. The world doesn't be quiet so that we can tune to our guidance. The world goes on. We have to be able to tune to our guidance with the world going on."